Hey everyone, and welcome back. I want to talk about something that hits close to home for a lot of people: trust, and what happens when it's shattered. Imagine this. You've built a life with someone, a partnership you believe is founded on honesty. You think you know them inside and out. But then, small things start to feel off. That's where this story begins. A story about a man named Mark and his wife Sarah. Mark and Sarah had what everyone called the perfect marriage. They were high school sweethearts, the couple everyone looked up to. They had a beautiful home, 2 great kids, and a rhythm to their life that seemed unshakable. Mark worked hard as an architect, often putting in long hours to provide for his family. But he always made sure to be home for dinner, for bedtime stories, for the little moments that mattered most. Sarah, a freelance graphic designer, worked from home, which gave her the flexibility to manage the household and be there for the kids. To Mark, their life was a dream come true. The first crack appeared on a Tuesday. Sarah mentioned she was joining a book club that met every week. Mark thought it was great. He wanted her to have her own hobbies and friends. "That sounds wonderful, honey," he said, genuinely happy for her. The first few weeks, she'd come home buzzing with energy, talking about the book they were reading and the interesting discussions they'd had. Mark never thought to question it. Why would he? This was Sarah, his Sarah, the woman he trusted with his entire world. But then, the book club nights started getting later. She'd come home well after midnight, smelling faintly of perfume he didn't recognize and wine. When he'd ask about the book, her answers became vague. "Oh, just the usual stuff," she'd say, quickly changing the subject to the kids or something that happened during her day. Mark brushed it off. Maybe the discussions were just getting really intense. He didn't want to be the suspicious, controlling husband. He chose to trust her. One evening, Mark came home early from work to surprise the family with takeout from their favorite Italian place. The kids were with his parents for the night, so he pictured a quiet, romantic dinner with Sarah. But when he walked in, the house was empty. He called her phone. It went straight to voicemail. He figured she must be at her book club. He glanced at the calendar on the fridge where she usually marked her meetings. Tuesday was blank. He frowned. Maybe she forgot to write it down. He decided to wait. Hours passed. 9 o'clock became 10, then 11. A knot of anxiety tightened in his stomach. He started calling her phone every 10 minutes, each unanswered call amplifying his fear. Was she okay? Did something happen? Just as he was about to call the police, the front door creaked open. Sarah slipped inside, trying to be quiet. "Sarah, where have you been?" "I was so worried," Mark exclaimed, his relief quickly turning to confusion. She looked flustered, her hair slightly messy. She wasn't carrying a book. "Oh, Mark, you're home early," she stammered, avoiding his eyes. "My phone died. The book club ran really late tonight. We just got so into the discussion. The lie was so blatant, it felt like a slap in the face." He had just looked at the calendar. He could feel the discrepancy in his gut. "Sarah," he said, his voice quiet but firm. "Your book club is on Tuesdays. Today's Thursday." Panic flashed in her eyes, quickly replaced by a defensive anger. "Oh my gosh, I'm so exhausted, I can't even keep the days straight. We had to reschedule this week. Why are you interrogating me?" She brushed past him and headed upstairs, leaving Mark standing alone in the silent house, the smell of cold pasta filling the air. The foundation of his world had just developed a serious crack, and he knew, with a sickening certainty, that this was just the beginning. The promise of honesty was starting to feel like a distant memory. The next morning was heavy with unspoken words. Sarah acted as if nothing had happened, cheerfully making breakfast and packing the kids' lunches. Mark, however, felt a cold distance growing between them. He wanted to believe her, to erase the doubt from his mind, but the lie was too obvious. Over the next few weeks, he started paying closer attention. He noticed she was guarding her phone, angling it away from him whenever a text came in. She started talking about a new client who required late-night meetings and weekend calls. The excuses were becoming more frequent and more elaborate. Mark felt like he was losing his mind. Was he being paranoid? Or was his intuition screaming a truth he wasn't ready to face? He confided in his best friend David over a beer one night. "I feel like I don't even know who she is anymore," Mark confessed, his voice thick with emotion. "Every time I ask a simple question, I get a story that doesn't add up. It's like walking on eggshells in my own home." David listened patiently. "Mark," he said, "you're not crazy. You have a right to feel secure in your own marriage, but you need proof. You can't confront her based on a gut feeling alone. It will just turn into another fight. The idea felt sleazy, a violation of the privacy he once cherished. But the need to know the truth was becoming an obsession, eating away at him day and night. With a heavy heart, Mark installed a simple location tracking app on the family tablet, which Sarah often took with her. He told himself it was for emergencies, a way to ensure she was safe. But deep down, he knew he was looking for a lie. He didn't have to wait long. The following Tuesday, Sarah kissed him goodbye, saying she was off to her book club. "Have fun, honey," he said, the words tasting like ash in his mouth. As soon as she left, he opened the app. His heart pounded in his chest as he watched the little blue dot representing her car. It didn't travel towards the library or her friend's house. Instead, it moved across town to a neighborhood he didn't recognize and stopped in front of a sleek, modern apartment building. It stayed there for 3 hours. Mark stared at the screen, a cold numbness spreading through him. The digital dot was an irrefutable, silent witness to her betrayal. It wasn't a book club. It wasn't a late-night client meeting. It was a lie, a deep and deliberate deception. Every excuse, every vague answer, every defensive retort clicked into place like a key in a lock, opening a door to a reality he never wanted to see. The perfect marriage, the life he had cherished, was an illusion. That night, when Sarah came home humming, a fake smile plastered on her face, Mark couldn't play along anymore. He didn't yell, he didn't scream, he just looked at her, his eyes filled with a pain so profound it silenced the room. "How was the book club?" he asked, his voice hollow. "It was good," she replied, her smile faltering under his intense gaze. "We're reading a new thriller." Mark took a deep breath. "Sarah," he said, holding up the tablet with the map still displayed, "stop lying, just for once. Stop lying. Where were you tonight?" The color drained from her face. The charade was over. The silence that followed was deafening, filled with the wreckage of years of trust, now shattered into a million pieces on the living room floor. The truth was finally out, but it offered no relief, only the devastating confirmation of his worst fears. The woman he loved had promised him honesty, but had built a second life on a foundation of lies, one night at a time. The road ahead would be long and painful, a journey of rebuilding, not a marriage, but himself from the rubble of what was left. Thank you so much for listening to this story. It's a powerful reminder of how devastating broken trust can be. If you found this story compelling, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more content like this. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Until next time, take care.